Hi, everybody. This is 1,070 days. 1,070 days since Richard vanished from the barracks there at Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. And I'm going to make sure that I'm on here, and I believe I have explaining to do, some explaining to do, and you can ask me any question once I get on here. And I do try to answer anybody's question. Let's see. Oh, there I am. Okay, so it's working. All right, so I just want to tell you a little bit about what's going on. It seems that Fort Bliss wants everyone to take leave, wants everybody to take 2 weeks leave. That's interesting because they're stressed out. Uh, and and it is. It's very stressful when a 14-year-old with, there's more information behind it, a 14-year-old young girl is being prostituted out. And they made it really easy for that to happen on Fort Bliss because she was allowed to live in the barracks. She was allowed to live in the barracks. Let me repeat, she was allowed to live in the barracks. Um, where is the oversight? Where are the NCOs? Where is the commander? You know, a 14-year-old girl is being prostituted out while living in the barracks, and she's not an isolated case. And there's more history behind this girl that I'm not at liberty to say. And so, you know, that's when it gets to that point. Okay. I mean, we already know that we have First Lieutenant Dallas Hart engaged in an incestuous relationship while he is serving active duty right there at Fort Bliss with Richard Halliday. Okay. We know that's pretty bad. And what happened to him? That's against the law. He told me in a phone call that he was given an honorable discharge. Are you kidding me? Because they knew about this incestual relationship because his mother had put in a confession to the CID and had it verified by doing a notary on it, notarizing it. And I spoke with the notary public, and that happened on the 22nd of July, 2020, the day before Richard went missing. Okay, so that happened the 22nd of July, 2020. We are in, June of 2023, and you have a 14-year-old girl, not an isolated case, living in the barracks being prostituted out. You have in July 22nd, 2020, a notarized complaint confession of Leilani Hart saying that a service member there on Fort Bliss has a child, has a couple children, and they are in the care of the Hart family in the Hart home, and that child, 7 years old, is being sexually assaulted in Leilani Hart's master bedroom by multiple members of the household, right? Of the household. That's in July 22nd, 2020, and you have in June of 2023 a 14-year-old girl being allowed to live in the barracks, right? And being prostituted out. You have in July 22nd, 2020, a confession that's notarized. That is a confession, is a complaint that in the Hart family, they have child pornography, long periods of time with child pornography, long periods of time. What's going on with that? You have Richard gone missing the next day because he turned in sexual videos while he was a whistleblower and complained to the Child Protective Services. You have that going on. And in June of 2023, you have a 14-year-old being able to live in the barracks and being prostituted out for months for months. Months. Now, there is no surprise why everybody on Fort Bliss needs a vacation, because their leadership, with leadership like this, who needs enemies? They have been fighting day in and day out, just going to work. Just going to work. They've been fighting day in and day out in a mental sense, because of the mental strain that's been on them, because of no care for Fort Bliss, no care for the soldiers, no care for 14-year-old, no care for minors, no care for girls, minor girls, no care for 7-year-olds being raped in a master bedroom of, was this a government funded care center? Because they had heart child care. And I want to know, was that government funded? Because this was a soldier on Fort Bliss. This was their children. A soldier's child. Children. Okay? This is what's going on. And then when we inquire, because we have been made to be the head investigators and the chief investigators of our son's disappearance, of our son's investigation, we have to inquire quite a bit. We have to inquire every day for over 1,000 years, and FOIAs and paperwork and inquiries and letters and letters and letters and letters and letters, and it's been crickets until lately. And they get upset. They're angry. They're not angry at us. They're angry because of the moral situation they have been placed in. They are angry because the leadership does not have their back, does not have their best interests at heart, does not have the nation's interests at heart, does not have the defense of the Constitution at heart. And our service members, our volunteer sons and daughters feel that, know that, see that, experience it. And they've been retaliated against because the tools that we've been giving these leaders, they've weaponized it against our soldiers, just like the FBI have weaponized their power against people, just like the IRS does that, just like the Department of Justice does that. They weaponize, and that's why we're in this battle with the JAG there. This attitude, this culture, this ideology, this fake ideology, this foreign ideology has seeped in to our institutions, and even into the Department of Justice, even into the JAG, even into just plain out law, legal assistance. Plain out legal assistance, you meet with retaliation, you meet with threats when you inquire about the murder, about the false or the illegal search of your home by an assault team. They get upset when you want to know, what is the probable cause affidavits? What are they? Where are they? Who signed off on them? Who signed off on the warrants? What part did, if you just name a name, if I say, what part did Judge Robert Lee Shook play in the probable cause affidavits and the warrants, right? What part did he play? They get all upset. But we have become the chief investigator. We have been made the chief investigators by the command, by CID. CID promised us, over 2 months ago, a response, a review of Richard's case. We still don't have it. They said, after the weekend. So what, 3 days? We should have had a review of Richard's case, and now it's been way over 2 months. I have to count the days, because it might be closer to 3 months. So we're left to count the days and tell people the dereliction of duty. And this is after, they were claiming that there's no conflict of interest in the CID, and we're like, I beg your pardon. There is tons of conflict of interest. Now, this is my thinking, okay? Because I have something to answer to. Um, I have a lot of inquiries about why I would put up some magnificent structures and relate them to Richard's case. Okay. Now, I have been on here for over 1,000 days, um, letting people get to know me. They know that I love homeschooling. They know that I love education. They know that I don't like schools. Okay. I really, I like schools, but I don't like public schools. There's not very many universities or colleges that I like. Um, and I know there's some good court, and that burns some, that, okay. So, I'm just a strange person, right? I don't like the germ theory. I don't like, the evolutional Darwin theory. Um, and I like homeschooling. I like homeschooling. Um, and I know that not everyone can do it. But the reason why I like it is because I'm very grateful to it. Because I learned so much while homeschooling. And we were trying to do a consultation business when COVID started for so many parents that their children were not able to go to school and they didn't know what to do. And I wanted to uh, be of some kind of blessing to them and calm them down and say, look, really, your expectations of what goes on in a school is so what you think or your assumption of what goes on in schools is much higher than what really happens. So your competition is pretty low. It's very low. Okay? It's very low. So don't worry too much. You don't have to stress out. You can do a couple hours. Matter of fact, you could probably do a couple hours 2, 3 days a week, and and you would progress just as fast or faster. And than what you get in a public school. And I'm talking mainly for, um, well, even up through high school. You could do 2 or 3 hours, 2 or 3 times a week, and you would just do fine. You would be just fine. And um, and then there was other things that you can do to even move your loved ones, your children, quicker quicker forward in learning different things. And so, one of the things that I've always loved, and in El Paso, when I went to Bassett, I was in a drafting course there at Bassett Middle School. Um, I don't know if we called it middle school at that time, but I did go to Bassett when I lived in El Paso, and I was in a drafting course. There were numerous males, three females. I was one of those females. I've always loved architecture, engineering, drafting, building things. Ask anyone that you know. I love building. I love engineering. I love it. It's just, I love education and I love building things. And I love building wonderful things. And I can't. And I can't because it is so difficult. It is so difficult. We don't even know today, with all of our technology, we don't know how the pyramids were built. Okay? With all of our years and years of going to schools, we still don't know how to build the pyramid. A pyramid, like Giza. That is an amazing. Just the foundation, the level of the foundation, meaning that it is level. It is level. It is flat. How they got it like that, it's just we don't know. We don't know. how they covered that much ground and made it so level, and how they built it. It's really, really amazing. And with all the schooling that we have, all the training that we have, um, all the money that we pour in to even our university and college educations, we don't know. Even with our computers, even with our computer help, which I love to use any kind of computer help. I love Grammarly. I love anything to help me multiply the output. Right? I love it. So I'm going to look into it. But with all of that, we don't know. We don't know how they did it. We don't have the skills. Our young people today, including any of us, any of us, I remember going to Dresden when the Frauenkirchen, which was the double domed, a bell dome, double bell domed cathedral, amazing church called the Women's Church, um, was bombed to smithereens and laid there for over 50 years. And it was a mess. And can you believe it that they bombed? We Americans bombed. I'm sure it was us, maybe the British, bombed this double bell domed, amazing built structure in the middle of Dresden. No reason to do it. I don't think there's any reason to do it. Well, it's not biblically sound to go into cities and go into populations to do warfare anyway. Like that mock Afghanistan village, that's a no go biblically. Biblically speaking, you don't do mock Afghanistan village warfare. Okay? Um, yeah, that's a whole nother long discussion. But the art of war, the art of war, and the main art of war is psyops. Okay, is to lead us to believe that if we go from preschool all the way to get our diploma and then go into a university and then get a degree and then get a master's degree and then maybe get a doctorate degree and on and on. And then when you get into your job, you still have to take courses, you still have to get your licenses, you still have to get your whatever, you know, permissions and whatever. And then you have to pay, you have to work then in these jobs to pay back your degree and all of that. And we can't get skills. We have to try in the middle of all of that to get some amazing skills. And people are amazing and they do have the energy to do it. Some of them do, and we're in awe of them. But overall, we don't have the skills. We don't. We should have, with all the money and all the time that we put into education, we should have the most magnificent free energy vehicles. We should have, and people don't know about the Zeppelins. They just know, oh, helium, it might blow up, whatever. Um, we should have the most amazing built structures all over the United States. Uh, we should have, I mean, the imagination, it's limitless when you consider and add up the amount of hours, the amount of money that we put into education. We are getting very little for the amount of hours and the amount of money that we put into our education and our training and licenses and all of that. Regulate, abiding by regulations and all of that. We get very little back when it comes to our true skills, our true arts, our, we just don't have it. And so when we go to Europe and when we see these old age structures, like in Strasbourg, France, what the picture that I put up with this house is a magnificent house. Um, just the picture, it triggers people, and they say, "What does this have to do with Find Richard Halliday? What did COVID have to do with Find Richard Halliday?" I don't get that anymore because people understand that now. I don't get it anymore, because they know the fraud, waste, and abuse, and they know what the shutdown did, what the mandates did. They know what the psyops did. They know that the DOD led it, that the DOD is the one that where the money came from to pay CVS, to pay Walgreens. They know the fraud, waste, and abuse when it comes to COVID now. Okay. So I don't get that so much back, but I did get back a lot of feedback just because I posted a beautiful structure of a house in Strasbourg, France, and said, this is related to Find Richard House, or a staircase. The staircase, that is magnificent, absolutely magnificent. And I think the picture doesn't even tell half of it, um, what it takes to build something like that. And for a long time, I was even talking about iPencil and what it takes to bring a pencil to market. And that you can get on YouTube. It's called iPencil, and it's amazing because you have to have the rubber, you have to have the wood, you have to have the metal, but you also have to have, um, the people that make the cherry pie, and um, uh, the restaurant that serves the cherry pie, and the waitress, and you have to, and it just goes on and on and on. And when you see what it takes, the machinery to cut down the trees, and the safety gear, and then you have to go to the manufacturing of the metal, the refining of it. Then you go to the rubber, and then all the shipping and everything. What it takes to bring a pencil to market. It's an amazing little video. It's on YouTube. It's called iPencil. I think if you search iPencil on Find Richard Halliday, you'll find it. And people will say, what does that have to do with Find Richard Halliday? Right? What does that have to do with it? And I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you. And I have a little picture here, um, of that staircase, because it has everything to do with Find Richard Halliday, just like what happened with the COVID. This is that house. Let's see. Go like this. I think that's better. This is the house, this amazing house. Um, and the response was racist and anti-Christian, anti-American. Um, it was a it was trying to smear the family of a missing soldier, because I put up a picture of Strasbourg, France on Find Richard Halliday and said, we have been lied to. We have been so lied to. Because when you take a very close look at this house, where is the skill today? Why are we paying out so much money and we don't have the skill to build structures like this? Okay? Or like this. What did I do? Or, let's see. Or like this. Look at this woodwork. Look at this woodwork. I think I just kind of, what did I do here? Anyway, this is amazing. Absolutely mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. Look at this. This is this is amazing. This is in Great Britain, right? Look at that. You have to say, what is that? That is mind boggling. And that's not mirrors, y'all. That is an actual room. Um, okay, so let me see what I did here. Okay, so what does this have to do with Richard? Well, um, we're trying to get information. We are the chief investigators. We know that a 14-year-old girl was living in the barracks and was being prostituted out, was being raped, y'all, was being raped every time because a 14-year-old girl um, doesn't consent. Okay? They're not at the age of consent. And that means it's rape. And we know that Richard made reports to the Child Protective Services. We know that Richard knew that no good was going on Fort Bliss. We know that when Austin Hawk was murdered, that nobody did anything. Nobody called 911. Nobody called the MPs. Nobody charged into that room to fight for his life with him. Nobody did. No, even after the perpetrator left, nobody did it. No, nobody called anyone. They let him bleed out for hours and hours. We know that Caleb Smithers was in that room longer than what they say. We know it. His mother knows it. We know that they were negligent in looking after him and that they even lied about looking after him. The same thing with Richard. We know that Asia Graham was raped. We know that she reported it. We know they did not do anything. They did not do anything until she was dead. And that we know that she died of a fentanyl-laced medication. We know that. And we know that the barracks is where she got it. We know that the barracks are a marketplace for illegal drugs. We know that the barracks are a place for rape and for sexual harassment. We know that nobody notified us about the disappearance of our son. Nobody. Nobody. Why? Are these all bad people? Not all of them are bad. Why didn't someone help Austin? Are they bad people? No. You think these volunteer sons and daughters are bad? No. Is it despicable that no one helped? Yes. Is it despicable that soldiers have not come forward to help with the information about Richard? You think that they don't know? I know they know. I know they know. But they're afraid. Why don't they have the gumption? Why don't they have uh, the energy and the courage to take a stand? Where are they going to get a job? Who's going to pay for their car payment? Who's going to pay for their college loan? What are they going to do? Do they have a skill? Are they electricians? Can they build? Can they build the likes of this? Do they know how to paint? Do they know how to? Do they know how to run a business? I mean, they have 12 years. Think about it. Um, from preschool just to high school. Let's say they only made it to 8th grade. Maybe they're dropouts and they joined the military. They dropped out at 8th grade or whatever. They have 8, 9 years of education and not a skill. Hours and hours every day and not a skill. Because let me tell you, my Oma had a skill and she only had 6 years of education. 6 years and she had a skill. She had lots of skills. Now, the war in Germany and what happened in Germany um, uh, was another problem, right? And she was from a really a dirt floor poor family, and she could write poetry. You wouldn't believe it. She could knit. She could knit and knit. Matter of fact, that's how she fed her family, knitting and cleaning. Her handwriting was amazing. Amazing. I showed you the letters. I put the letters up on Find Richard Halliday. Did she have courage? Yes. Does having skills give you courage? Yes. Yes. If you have just a thimbleful of skill that these people that could build this eye pencil, this library, this uh, train depot, this, what is this? I knew what it was. It escaped me. Amazing. And this is not isolated. There's things like this all over the world. Some of it has been, well, a lot of it has been bombed. My Oma told me a lot of it has been bombed. The Dresden Frauenkirche, we watched it get rebuilt using technology, using specially made um, scaffolding, specially made scaffolding that was able to build the structure. And you wouldn't believe the people that were crying, and these old people had to come out and be recommissioned to help with the building of this old church because the younger people did not have the skill, and they were like, teach us how quick, teach us how to rebuild this. We have the funds, and it was all donor funds to build the Frauenkirche in Dresden, to rebuild it. And I went there several times. I went there when it was complete. And, it's amazing. It is amazing, but it's nothing compared to this stuff. Okay. It's nothing compared to this stuff. And I'm just saying, in order to get the courage, in order for our volunteer sons and daughters to fight for righteousness' sake, fight for justice, uh, they need to have something to fight for the opportunity to use their skills. For their country, they need to have a love of their country. They need to have a love of their opportunities that they see. They need to have a future. And yet they're all enslaved. Not all, but, we're enslaved because of this system that has been perpetrated against us. Now, is that a conspiracy? No, because I have hard facts. Where are the new structures like this? Right? Where are those standing up that don't even uh, that know that if they get thrown out of the military, even with a dishonorable discharge, they won't give a flip because they have a skill that they can fall back on and they can make a decent living for their family. So, does that have a connection to Richard? Absolutely. Because we are way over 1,000 days, way over 1,000 days, and the silence is deafening. The crickets, it's crickets. And I don't even know if it's just by the hand of God every time. Because Anthony Swafford didn't mean to tell us the information that he had about guard mount. Nadal Baim didn't mean to really for us to find out that he's the FBI man and he's with the FBI and he's the FBI man and the FBI has found Richard's remains in Juarez, Mexico. Shh, shh. He didn't mean for us to find that out. I don't think that. I think probably the most courageous person in this is a cashier, and I would say a courageous person in all of this is Belen Rocha because she gave us information. I know she knows more. I know she knows probably all of it. Maybe. Most likely. But she gave us, and she had Richard Six to a certain degree. For her young age, for being a mother, for her, what is her skill? She's been taught that her skill is sex. That's exploiting our young females. Where is Vanity Fair Veronica when it comes to this kind of stuff? A female being prostituted out, a girl of 14 years old being prostituted out on Fort Bliss, even living in the barracks being prostituted out. The barracks is at the least 9-to-1 ratio of men to women. Where is the fruit of all of the education, all of the money that's being funneled into it? Where is it going? Because and where is this call to action that all females need to go to school, and yet we're exploiting our young girls, our young daughters, into making money from their sexuality in a not friendly way and being raped. Let's just call it what it is. They're being raped. And then rape becomes the norm, and then you have Asia Graham being raped. And then you have Richard seeing what's going on and makes CPS complaints and makes CID complaints and turns in the sex videos, and then he ends up being being a whistleblower, being retaliated, being tortured, being murdered, being dismembered, and then being hushed up and covered up, and here we are. Now, if people can't connect dots, and all they can do is call me a racist, they're not calling me a racist. They're being the racist, but they're calling me a white Christian national. If that's not the most racist, untrue smear, and that's what they're calling a mother that is looking for their missing son for over 1,000 days, not getting answers, and posting up a beautiful house in Strasbourg, France, and saying, This has a connection. We're being lied to because we've absolutely been lied to. We've been lied to not only about Richard's case, but we've been lied to about what goes on Fort Bliss. We've been lied to about the purpose of Fort Bliss. We've been lied to about the purpose of our Department of Defense on Fort Bliss. We've been lied to about the emergency intake center. Thank God that's shutting down. Thank God they're moving the minors that are accounted for, but the minors, because there's 85,000 unaccounted for minors. But thank God they're moving those children to North Carolina. So, we've been lied to about that intake center. We've been lied to about the FBI and FBI man. We've been lied to about guard mount. We've been lied to about Richard over and over again. We've been lied to in so many reasons about the conflict of interest, about the JAG, about what about this one? We have a warrant and they don't. And we've been lied to about the purpose of our education. We've been lied to about the purpose of our taxes. We've been lied to, and everyone knows it, because here you have, what's her name? Haley, what's her name? Haley, she used to be the governor of South Carolina. And all she talked about were the roads. And she, I think she raised taxes to get the roads done here in South Carolina. And what happened? She put them in some kind of rainy day fund. And I'm sure that fund is totally empty and the roads are not done. And then she wants to run for president when she can't even run, and this is, I'm just saying we are lied to all the time. We're lied to about our senators. Our senators are supposed to be powerful. They're not powerful. You have Ted Cruz getting flipped off by the Secretary of the Army, who is about 23 ranks lower than him. She is his subordinate, and she's flipping him off. Can you imagine a private flipping off Milley, General Milley? And I think it's worse than that. And it's like, well, contact the media. We've been lied to about the media. The media is saying that they're neutral, that they're not biased, and that, that gives them the right not to have to pay taxes and, to be a tax-free organization. And yet, they're absolutely political attack dogs. And I'm serious about this. We're told that there's not conspiracies, that there's no collusion, that everybody is so benevolent and so good. Oh, they're just defending our country. And that's such a lie. They are colluding. They spend billions on psychological operations, and they use it against their own. It's all coming out. So when I say we've been lied to, when I'm looking at a picture and the picture speaks 1,000 words, right? The picture speaks 1,000 words, and it speaks to me, skilled people that were given the opportunity to go after their dreams, to think of the most marvelous things and make them a reality, to engineer the most marvelous things and make it a reality. The pursuit of happiness. That's what the picture is saying. It's saying truth. It's saying truth. It's saying truth. It's saying justice, because only a just society could produce those kinds of structures. A band of robbers could not produce such structures. And right now, our DOD is a band of robbers. Our DOJ is a band of robbers. Our Congress is a band of robbers. And that's why they can't produce such structures, unless it's maybe their own house. But I'm talking about for the public good, and even in their own houses, they can't produce it. Look at this thing. Well, let's go back to this library here. It's absolutely amazing. It blows your socks off when you really think about what it's saying. Just look at the tapestry on the wall. Look at the gold paintings below. Look at the sconces. Look at the symbolism. I mean, we're all looking at the carvings, but I wish I could see the ceiling even more. And it's telling me that we've been lied to, because all the things that they tell us we need to do to make things possible is a lie. And our soldiers, so many of our sons and daughters, they would love to have these kind of opportunities, and they would love to be able to tell their criminal leaders, fine, give me a dishonorable discharge, I'm getting the hell out of here, and I am going to go wood carve. I am going to go and build. I am going to go weave. I am going to go and do something productive. I'm tired of killing people for you. I'm tired of blowing up buildings for you. I want to go make something. And I don't like it that you trained to suicide. I don't like it that you cover up the murder of Richard Halliday. You guys are scum. That is what this picture is telling me. And so that's my answer to what does this have to do with Richard? It has everything to do with Richard. It has everything to do with the military. It has everything to do with our society. It has everything to do with what we hope and dream for each other. Because you think that took one skilled worker? Go watch iPencil. And I believe that's why the generals lockstep to the evil, because they don't know anything else. They just know war. They just know, they took the right courses to get their stars, and they brown-nosed enough to get their stars, and they covered up enough crimes to get their stars. And if they lost it, what would they do? Because their skill is in brown nosing. Their skill is in lockstepping. Their skill is in taking those courses, to placate the politics. Their skill is to go to charm school so that they could try to stonewall the family that's looking for their missing soldier. The family that's looking for their missing son. That's their skill. Well, no, thank you. I want the weaver and the wood carver and the engineer and all the events that would have to take place in order to fill these buildings with activity, with purpose, instead of blowing up things and destroying people's lives and raping children and raping and getting into sex cults. And that's the point that I was trying to make. And I'm sorry for being a little bit defensive, I guess you would call it defensive. I think I'm doing okay at 1,070 days. I'm trying to walk that road, that narrow path, and not get too emotional. And one of the things that I like to do is look at these beautiful, and I don't know why these are coming up on Facebook on mine. Maybe because they know I'm interested in it. But it just popped up, and I just thought, oh my gosh, these are so beautiful. These are so wonderful. This is so magnificent. If only our society would focus on this, on all the different things. Just even, can you imagine having a ball in this place with musicians and the beautiful dresses and the dressmakers that would have to make the dresses, and the silk and the weaving and all the lace making and everything that would have to fill these absolutely skilled, magnificent buildings, structures. But our leadership is doesn't have these things in their mind, and that's a point that and we've depended on them to give us our societal structures, our institutions, for us to pursue happiness, and they haven't done that. They've made us miserable. Not totally miserable, because there is always the unseen, the people that just knows how to skirt the system, and they make it happen anyway. Okay, if you have any questions. That was, let me see if there, I think that's it. Okay, so thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you so much for listening to me explain, just this retaliation I got from putting up a beautiful structure and people not understanding. You're at 1,070 days. 1,070 days. And I will tell you this, Richard's case is really much larger than what people think, and that's why there's so much effort into stonewalling it, I guess would be the right word. Okay, thank you so much. God bless you, and I will be back tomorrow, God willing. Bye-bye. Oh, one more thing is the information that we got back from the archives is really important, and the information that we got back from JAG is really, really important. And what that is telling us is that it seems that they are getting ready for a congressional inquiry. And so if you are a soldier, if you are on Fort Bliss, if you have connections with your congressman, If you can write a letter to your congressman, if you want to write a letter to your congressman to ask for a congressional inquiry into find Richard Halliday. I think that, and also, of course, we have the letters going to Major General Eisenhower right now. Um, so any letters going to Major General Eisenhower, find Richard Halliday. Any letters going to Congress, Senate, um, to ask them for a congressional inquiry into the Richard Halliday case would be really awesome. And we really thank you so much. So God bless you, and I will be back tomorrow, God willing.